Welcome back to Axis Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough review of Oshirei Episode 9. Now, if you remember from last episode, we find out Aida is actually going out on a double date with Fuyame. And I was like, really? Now, he's just there to spy on her and find out what her real weaknesses are. Now, moving on past that, now Natsugawa, she doesn't just want him to spy, she wants Aida to actually have Fuyame fall in love with him, just so she can actually have one up on her so she can actually reopen her club. I'm like, really? She's actually waiting to take a picture of them? It was perfectly planned out, and I give her props for setting up this kind of bullshit plan. However, at the end of the episode, we do find out this plan, yeah, it does not work out. It fails, and I thought, oh my god, who didn't see this coming? Who, really? No hands? Okay, yeah, I saw this coming. I knew it was going to really be a flop and explode in your face, because we do find out Fuyame in the theaters, in the movie theater, she explodes on Shaiwa, and it's like a yelling or screaming argument as they're watching the film. And yes, I know Fuyame got emotionally involved because she's trying to relate to the movie, and poor Aida, he's just sitting back taking it. But again, that's where the episode ends, and I'll hold my final thought and rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. So we open up this episode with a flashback. Now it's of Aida and Fuyame. It's when they were young and in their childhood, or at least that's what it looks like. But again, that's where we open up with. Moving on past that, however, we are taken to a different scene with Aida. Yeah, he's actually in class, and he basically finds Fuyame's notebook. Now, he doesn't know it belongs to Fuyame, but he finds a notebook. He starts reading it. Now, apparently, she actually comes back. Fuyame comes back to look for her notebook that she forgot. Guess what? She grabs the wrong notebook and doesn't even notice that she grabbed the wrong notebook, and she leaves without getting her notebook back. So I thought that was definitely worth mentioning. However, Aida starts to read the notebook, and apparently this notebook, it starts talking about Aida, or at least how Aida used to be, if that makes any sense. Aida as a child used to be called something different by Fuyame, so he's actually called something different in the notebook. However, he does pick up, it does sound kind of familiar. Things start to click. However, we are taken to a different scene with Fuyame, and she notices she grabbed the wrong notebook. And she starts to freak out. Really? It's just a stupid notebook, it's just words, but hey, you're the one that's in love with Aida. You took the risk. You put your shit in a book. Deal with it. So moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene with Aida, and he notices the book belongs to... Come on, anyone? Fuyame. And I'm like, oh, this is so freaking hilarious. Now, I should also point out, he also notices this notebook, is a lot like his notebook. So he's starting to say to himself, whoever wrote this notebook, wrote all this crap in this notebook, they're a lot like me. Like what I did in my notebook that belongs to Natsugawa now. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Did you just compare yourself to Fuyame? No. We're not doing the, yeah, we did. So we're moving on past that. Now I should point out, he actually runs into Fuyame, or should I say Fuyame returns, and she claims the notebook, after he finds out it belongs to her, belongs to her brother. Okay, now, there's a lot of things wrong when someone claims that their notebook belongs to their brother. First of all, does Fuyame actually have a brother? We don't know. I mean, she already lied about having a fake boyfriend, so she's probably lying about having a brother. And second of all, if this is her book and it belongs to her brother, then her brother is gay, because we've got to think about it here. Or at least that's what I would presume if that did belong to a guy. I mean, come on, we all know it's Fuyame's notebook, so that story was really a bullshit. Now, Aida, after hearing this story, okay, he just runs. He drops the fucking notebook and runs. The first smart thing he's done that I can actually agree upon. Now, we are taken to a different scene with Aida and Fuyame, and they're actually running in the hallways, and eventually it leads them into a little room that's empty. So now Aida and Fuyame are actually in a blank room, and they fall on top of each other by accident. It really wasn't planned out, although I wish it was. It would have made more sense. However, moving on past that, we do find out Fuyame comes clean about everything, about the book belonging to her and what's in it. Now, Aida, after hearing the truth, he actually speaks up and says, you know what, I'm the burning, fighting fighter, and he goes into his little spiel about his delusions as well. It's like, you know what, we're the same. I also have the same delusions. I write them down in my book. And she just starts laughing. It's like, you're cheering me up, kind of. Now I just don't feel pathetic, but, I think you're stupid now. Like, come on. Give the man some credit. At least he was trying. Fuyame, you're one hard SOB to please, literally. Now, we are moving on past that to an amazing scene, in my opinion, because, Fuyame, she starts to blush, and she tells, Aida, don't move, let me have this moment. And she curls up next to him. I'm like, oh man, this is perfect. She's blushing, they're gonna do something. They don't do anything. It was a wasteful scene. But I loved it though, regardless. However, we are taken to a different scene with Shaiwa. And now again, we're at Aida's house. This is like later on in the day. Now, apparently, Shaiwa in general actually tries to ask Aida out to the fireworks event. And he says no. I thought it was hilarious. Like, no. So we are taken to a different scene with Aida. Now, apparently, in order to replace Fuyame's notebook, which he kind of crumpled up and kind of wrecked it, he actually agreed to go out with, well, Fuyame in general to the fireworks event. So he actually is going to go out on a date with Fuyame, although he said no to the other girls to the specific fireworks event. So I thought that was definitely worth mentioning. And I thought it was kind of funny. I mean, come on. So moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene with Fuyame, and she's actually all dressed up. She's ready to go to the fireworks event, and she's in a yukata. And I love seeing a woman in a yukata. They're beautiful, plain and simple. Now, Aida, he looks like a ticket scalper. I don't know how else to describe him. He's got a freaking ball cap on, like a baseball cap, and he's trying to look very, not like he belongs, It's like, I'm not here, you don't see me, you don't see me. Come on, we see you. You just stick out like you're gonna be a pedophile or something. I don't know. So anyways, we do see Fuyame and Aida. They're actually heading to the fireworks event. And I definitely thought this was also worth mentioning. When they're walking to the fireworks event, Aida starts to notice the path looks familiar from his childhood. He starts to remember small bits and pieces of his childhood, which again, I definitely thought that was worth mentioning. However, we are taken to literally a WTF moment with Fuyame, and eventually, I just couldn't handle this. I almost had to sit down and have a cup of coffee. I'm not gonna drink booze, but I sat down and drank some coffee just to steady myself when I was reading the subtitles. So Fuyame, we open up the scene with Fuyame, and apparently 10 years ago, Aida actually promised to marry. Yeah, Fuyame. So Aida promised to marry Fuyame 10 years ago, and she still remembers. Uh-oh, where's this gonna go? This ain't gonna go anywhere. No, please say it's not gonna go anywhere. Yeah, it does. Apparently, Fuyame pulls out a little piece of paper. It's kind of old, and she wants Aida to sign it to keep his end of the bargain and marry her. What? No, don't get me wrong. She's cute, but Aida's already dug deep with all these other women. If he actually does that at World War III, no, World War IV, okay? I don't think any of these women are going to even let him live if he marries her. Even though I doubt those are actually legal documents. Those look like they were written by crayon, so they're not really legal documents. But yes, Fuyame wants Aida to stamp it with his stamp to make it legal, even though I doubt it's really legal. But I thought it was funny. And Fuyame basically says, well, yeah, I don't really have a boyfriend to begin with. I'm like, oh, really? Really? You're telling me that now? Fuyame, you don't have a real boyfriend. So you lied to me. Like, yeah, I actually like you. In fact, I love you, Aida. I'm like, you are some piece of work. Where were you before you met Natsugawa? I mean, seriously. If Aida would have met, Fuyame before Natsugawa, I could actually see this going somewhere. But you're just fucked. So what does he do? He drops everything and he runs. Yet again, the smartest thing he's done. He drops everything. He's like, see ya. And I love it. Now, moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene with Aida, and he runs right into Akashino and Shaiwa because they're heading to the fireworks event, obviously. And he's actually trying to avoid Fuyame, so he stays with them. And Fuyame's basically seeing him in the distance, but she can't really do anything. And she basically tells him, you know what? This is Fuyame before, Aida actually ran into Shaiwa and everyone else. I'm not going to tell anyone the truth about my boyfriend. I'm going to lie, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'll deny it. I'm like, typical woman, right? That's a typical thing someone would do, because, she really can't blackmail him like Natsukawa can, but she can still avoid telling the truth, so it makes kind of sense. However, we are taken to a different scene the next day with Natsukawa, and apparently she knows everything about Fuyame and Aida, like where they were at the fireworks event to that extent. She doesn't know about the whole marriage thing and what happened in class, but somehow Natsugawa knows that Fuyame met up with Aida. I'm like, does she have a GPS tracker inside of Aida? Does she have cameras? Is she paying an investigator? How the fuck does she know all this stuff? Did she bug his phone? I bet she bugged her phone. I swear to God. That's just me. But moving on past that, we are taken to a different scene with Natsugawa yet again, and she's announcing to everyone the club has been reopened. However, Fuyame is the one that actually got it reopened, and Fuyame is now part of the club as a coach because she's the love master. And again, that's where the episode ends. As for final thoughts, Fuyame, seriously? It's been 10 years and you still want to marry Aida? I mean, there are better guys out there. At least ones that aren't swarmed by other women, right? I mean, this is Aida. He's the last guy on the face of the planet that I would think that it would have so many women into him, and yet he doesn't even want any of them, or at least he's too blinded by, what happened to his parents to really give a fuck. But, Fuyame, more power to you if you want to marry him, but, it's like the rat race here. You gotta wait. You're in line, and you're the last one in line to get to, Aida in general. I mean, you were his friend before Shaiwa, but Shaiwa's been his friend longer, so she's got more of an edge here. But the whole marriage thing kind of threw me off. But again, that ends it for my final thoughts. Nothing too major there. I didn't want to get too detailed because that marriage thing definitely got to me. Now moving on to my rating. What am I going to rate this? Okay, the marriage thing definitely had me there because I would have gave this a 4 out of 5, but no, I'm going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. There was no fighting. There's a lot of running. That was probably the high point, a lot of running. As for, fighting, no. Romance and drama, oh, you bet your sweet freaking ass. But I'm not going to give this a 4 out of 5. That marriage thing was the high point of this episode. But, hearing Fuyame tell the truth and, seeing her curl up. And also, seeing, Natsugawa kiss Aida after she forgives him in the club room. Yeah, I forgot to mention that in the review. Yeah, Natsugawa ends up kissing Aida in the club room because she's forgiving him for what he did. And I really didn't get that. It was kind of cute though, but I'm only going to give this a 3.5 out of 5. I wasn't really moved enough, but I felt it. The marriage thing, I felt it. But again, final rating, 3.5 out of 5. But again, guys, that ends it for my walkthrough and review of Horse Ray Episode 9. But definitely comment down below. Let me know. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Definitely subscribe. Check me out on Twitter and follow me if you like. But again, guys, let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think's going to happen in the next episode that's coming out. But guys, I got to hit the bricks, and I got to go. I've got so much to do. Trust me, I'll get more of my reviews out there. But before I go, I gotta say it, and I always say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.